The search to find a new home for my dog Vicky and me is on hold during the months of July because the whole country is on vacation and barely any new houses are listed nor viewings are held. So the two of us go on vacation ourselves and we travel through Sweden. I use the time to look for something special. I'm looking for Sweden's best kept secret. I'm looking for the Dawson city of Sweden, and I came up with a theory where I can find it. Dawson City is a unique place in Canada, and there must be a similar one in Sweden. I will share Dawson City's secret with you after these beautiful pictures. Dawson City is a very vibrant community in the summer months. It is located in Canada's Yukon Territory, in the middle of nowhere, and used to be the center of a gold rush. Nowadays, it is full of tourists and seasonal workers flooding the town. But it is also full of artists, musicians and singers, writers and poets, jugglers and acrobats, dancers and actors, filmmakers and content creators, and still gold miners. Festivals, dance shows, lectures, markets, historic tours, competitions, parades. Tourists come by planes, sometimes flying in with their single engines. They come by motorhome, in their exploration trucks, on motorcycles, by bicycle or foot. One guy swam in the Yukon River to Dawson. They come in canoes and kayaks and on paddleboards for hundreds of kilometers or miles. Life is on the streets from June to the end of August, while there's 24/7 daylight. Because special places attract special people. It is like one big event that lasts the whole summer. If you haven't been to Dawson, you haven't seen the Yukon, so they say. And if there is such a place in Sweden, my guess is it will be here. I have looked for maps for hours on the internet in order to explain you what I'm trying to do. I couldn't find anything that meets the purpose. So I came up with something very simple. Well, that's the best I can do. I'm sorry. Here we have a map of Sweden. And you see the green line, which is the E45. It is a highway going from the south to the north, and it goes through the middle of Sweden. To go north, you can also take the E4, which goes along the east coast of Sweden. You see the whole length of Sweden now, from south to north, north to south. And what you need to know is that the population in the north is fairly small. It starts kind of in the middle on this map. Let's zoom in. In the west, we have the E45 in green, and in the east, we have the E4 in red. You can see that there are connectors between those two major highways, which I'm highlighting in purple. These connectors are about 300 to 400 kilometers long, which is 180 miles to 250 miles. Just roughly, because they're never straight, they go, and I didn't measure all of them. It's just a rough estimate. And here comes the interesting part, that pretty much in the middle of these connectors, there's always a town which is a major hub for the people that live in the area. And although these towns are pretty much in the middle of nowhere, they come with major infrastructure, amenities, and facilities. A hospital, large grocery stores, a swimming pool, and so on and so on. Well, at least that's what I thought when I was with my finger on Google Maps. And it's actually time for me to go there in person and check it out. And to be quite honest, that's where I suspect I can find a place like Dawson City. Because a special place attracts special people. My journey began in Mora, if I pronounced that right, which is on the E45 in the west. The red horses, in Swedish dollar häst, are a symbol of the area, and they are also a souvenir now bought by tourists. And it's actually the most sold souvenir and representing whole Sweden nowadays. From medieval times, often the center of the city is a church, and in front of the church is a marketplace with a fountain. And then we were finally going to one of these connector roads to Rättvik, which is between Mora and Gävle. On this highway connecting the E45 to the E4, there were actually a few more towns like
Falun, Hofors, Sandviken.
now I don't have to pronounce it myself. And but to be honest, I didn't take any videos when I was there. Now, Falun, do I pronounce that right?
Falun, Hofors.
Falun is known for the red paint. That's where the red paint is coming from. The paint that is used for the red houses, which I liked so much. And so there's a big museum that is probably explaining all that. But it was like really hot when I was there, and I didn't want to leave Vicky in the car by herself in the heat, so I skipped that. So long story short, making these type of videos, like city tours or so, it's not really my strengths. Sorry. And before we're going to the next connector further north, connecting the E45 and the E4, I want to mention that
Rättvik.
was actually, it pleasantly surprised me. It was a beautiful little town. It wasn't that little, actually. Nested by a lake. It was just beautiful. And the city center was nice and clean, and there were bars and cafes, and there was live music. So that was actually a good start. Further north, I went to the next town that's kind of in the middle between the E45 and the E4, and that is
Bollnäs.
Bollnäs. And here I'm driving through the town, and I liked the city center especially, like where all the stores are. Bollnäs also had a really good infrastructure. For example,
Sjukhus.
I promise, I'll learn Swedish. That's the hospital. Bollnäs lies between...
Orsa, Söderhamn.
I mean, come on, honestly. Would you have known that it's pronounced that way? So please don't judge me. Anyway, and though Bollnäs is not in the middle of that road connecting the E4 and the E45, it is one of the larger towns on that stretch. Now, from there, I was going north, and I was coming to the next town on the next connector, Ljusdal. That town blew me away in a very positive way. You have to remember, we're already pretty far north, and there was so much infrastructure, so many stores. They had a large hospital, and something that I noticed in the middle of the town, a co-space. Here in these videos, you can see a lot of spots outside where you can spend your time and do sports. And besides Ljusdal being alongside a river, it also has a really nice lake right by the city center. You can walk around it completely. I saw a lot of joggers, people with their strollers, or just people walking like me. Now we're going even further north to another connector between the E45 and the E4. Pretty much in the middle is Ånge. And there I finally get to show you where I get my vitamins from regularly. Coop and ICA are the two major grocery stores that you find in Sweden all over the place, in every town and in most villages. And the medium size and larger stores usually have this salad bar. I was surprised, however, to see that Ånge doesn't really have other bigger stores like Biltema, which is comparable to Canadian Tire, or Jysk, which is kind of a small IKEA. Here I drive by their
Hälsocentral.
which is rather a health center than a hospital. All in all, I had expected more facilities, amenities, more infrastructure in the town, but I noticed that it's fairly close to
Östersund.
which is on the E45, and it's a fairly big town for the northern part of Sweden. And so in general, that connector between the E45 and the E4 is rather short. It's a short distance. So it was only about 100 kilometers from Ånge to Östersund. And so, yeah, I guess that's probably people that live in the area don't have such a long distance to travel to go to the next bigger town. So Ånge probably is smaller than I expected. And while I was on my way further north to the next connector road, something happened. I found Sweden's geographical center. I found a really nice spot for the two of us to camp. And please remember, in Sweden we have the
Allemansrätten.
which is the freedom to roam. What that entails, I can cover in my next Q&A video. I was going further north to the next connector between the E45 and the E4 to the town of Sollefteå. And for that, I was really excited because I heard a lot of good things about it for example, that there are lots of YouTubers up there. Vicky and I had a really good time there, and we stayed for about a week. We didn't bump into any YouTubers, but maybe they were on vacation themselves. It is a really beautiful area with a very well maintained town. With pretty much the whole country being on vacation in the months of July, it was fairly difficult to get an oil change done. But after a week of waiting, I had the pleasure in Sollefteå. It was time to go even further north, to the town and hub in between the E45 and the E4, which is
Lycksele.
Lycksele as well was well equipped with stores and a very nice city center. Also a hospital. I, however, ran into an issue. We had temperatures over 30 degrees Celsius, that is over 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was way too hot in the car. Remember, the further north you go, the more sunlight you have. So it was pretty much 24/7 sunlight, and the car was heating up all the time, and it was just too much for Vicky and me. So we were heading south again, south into the cold. And this was it. This was our trip through Sweden's interior. Are there any takeaways? Well, I guess the most important one, I have not found what I was looking for, to be honest. I haven't found a town full of artists that are hanging out on the streets for the whole summer, basically the Dawson City of the Canada's Dawson City of Sweden, if that makes sense. Um, uh, I still have found like some amazing cities, some amazing towns. Um, I guess Sollefteå stood out, Ljusdal stood out, Rättvik stood out. I've been to the middle of Sweden. I mean, I really had no idea about it. It was just like a coincidence that I found it. I know that a lot of people watching my videos are actually Swedes, so people from Sweden. And guys, I need your help now. I have not found what I was looking for, but you know your country way better than I do. So I would like to ask you, I kindly would like to ask you to leave a comment if you know such a town in Sweden that stands out, that is special, that has a lot of artists being there, which is very vibrant, that has like a very certain vibe of, I don't know, of fun and community. Please share your knowledge with all of us, and that might trigger me to come up with a list of towns and cities I may want to visit next summer. I guess for this year, I traveled enough. Okay, so are there any other takeaways? I have to tell you that I kind of interrupted my trip. After 2 weeks, I was done, and I had to flee down south because it was just way too hot in the north. There was a heat wave this year, 2025, in Sweden's north. So I guess it's different every year, but this year definitely it was just too hot. The problem I had was because of the more or less 24/7 daylight, the sun was shining onto my car like nonstop, and it was just too hot in the car throughout the day, throughout the night even. So I just couldn't stand it anymore. It was just too much for Vicky and me. Um, Vicky didn't have a good time either. Like I said, it was just too hot, and we could not escape. There was just no escape. I tried to be in the forest as much as I could, but then the further north you go, so there are these two type of trees: the ones that have leaves and the other one that have needles. And all the forests, if the further you go up north, you have less trees with leaves, so there's like less shadow in the forests. And so like even going into a forest didn't help much. The further north I got, the trees got smaller, there was just less shadow. Yeah, that came as a surprise. I didn't expect that, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I also had no idea that, I was talking about the E4 on the one side, the E45 on the other side. But really, there's also going, like, let's say, country roads through the middle. There's no direct path from south to north. It's like several roads that are connecting, and really they go into different directions, but you can go up north that way as well, which was a treat to drive on because there was so little traffic and the roads were in such good condition, and you drove by like, I don't know, 100 lakes. I mean, that was one of the best things about this trip, was being on these let's say remote roads, country roads. Yeah, so this is it. I'm pretty much done. I want to give you an outlook on my next video. One of the reasons why I stopped my journey earlier, I mean, I mentioned was the heat, but there was another one actually. So, as you know, and I mentioned that before, um, the months of July, there's not much going on in terms of realty, right? There's not many listings coming out. However, there were a few, and I was interested in them. So in July, I have already started looking at houses, and I'm pretty much done already with my next video about viewings that I attended already in July. Uh, some really fascinating properties. I think it's like, yeah, it's 3 or 4. I didn't record the one, so it's like 3 houses that I have so far, and I think that's enough for another video of a house hunt. So please like and subscribe, and stay with me, stay tuned on my house hunt. There is also some more things that happened, but I'll tell you more about it in the next video. So thank you for that, and please stay tuned. We are Thomas and Vicky. We're currently in Sweden to find a new place to live.